Good morning and welcome everyone to the CDKL5 International Family Conference 2022. CDKL5 Canada is hosting live today from Toronto, Ontario, and it is our pleasure that you have joined us. We would love to know where you are joining us from, so we invite you to type in the chat your location if you're open to sharing. Today is CDKL5 Awareness Day, and I can't think of a better way to spread awareness than by hosting and or attending a CDD conference. My name is Sangeeta Staley, and I am the president and founder of CDKL5 Canada. My 18-year-old daughter, Tia, was diagnosed with CDKL5 deficiency disorder when she was 7. At that time, I only knew of one other CDD family in Canada, which meant support and information about the disorder was for the most part non-existent. The internet, if used wisely, can be a wonderful tool. Through the internet, I quickly found friends in IFCR and CDKL5 UK, and through Yahoo and then the Facebook support groups, I found a community. Families from all over the world came together to learn, support each other, and grow, just like we're doing here today. And in this community, I found support from parents that understood when I said I didn't want to tiptoe into my baby's nursery like first-time mothers do to watch my child sleeping because I was fearful she would be seizing yet again. And parents who understood that it was a happy occasion when the topic of conversation at the dinner table was that your child had a poop today. Because there are still some restrictions in place from the COVID-19 pandemic, we find ourselves hosting this conference virtually again this year. But that's okay, because the virtual world is where most of us found a community to begin with. And we've come a long way from the days of the Yahoo support group and limited information. Today, with the efforts of the Lulu Foundation and many other organizations in the CDKL5 Alliance, we found ourselves hosting, today with the efforts of the Lulu Foundation and many other organizations in the CDKL5 Alliance, we have a better understanding of CDD. We have more treatment options. We have opportunities to participate in clinical trials and registries, as you will see in the presentations in the next 2 days. When our conference planning committee sat down to plan this conference, we knew that even more treatments and eventually a cure was coming. But in the meantime, we needed to provide the best quality of life for our loved ones with the disorder. So you will see presentations on alternative therapies like medical marijuana and music therapy for the treatment of epilepsy. You will also see practical day-to-day feeding tips for a blenderized diet, and a topic that touched me when I first heard it over 10 years ago, respecting the individual with the disability, that the founder of the IMTI program will be presenting. I've attended many conferences since my daughter Tia was born, and I have heard many presentations on the parent perspective, which we can all relate to because we live that life. But this time, I wanted to share another perspective, the siblings' perspective, because sometimes we get so wrapped up in caregiving for a child with CDD, we occasionally overlook or take for granted what the siblings might be feeling. We all know receiving a CDD diagnosis affects the entire family. And so I know you will welcome and appreciate our keynote speaker, Emma Staley, on the siblings' perspective, and Carol Ann Partridge sharing a parent perspective on challenges siblings face. CDKL5 does not define us. It makes us aware, it makes us stronger, and it unites us. This conference would not be possible without the collective efforts of CDKL5 Canada's board members, which I would like to acknowledge now in closing. Natalie, please share the link to the board's full bio in the chat. Natalie Ladley is the co-chair of this conference. She's from Thornbury, Ontario, and her daughter Bryn is diagnosed with CDD, and she's 6 years old. Sarah Wong is our treasurer from Toronto, Ontario. Maria Kalabik is our secretary, currently on parental leave, and she lives in Boston. Teresa Wong is our interim secretary, and she's from Calgary, Alberta. Her daughter Elizabeth is 15. Emily Turner is from Beachville, Nova Scotia, and her daughter Lila is 7. Sarah Spence from St. Clements, Manitoba. Her daughter Gracie is 11. And Ange Massano is from Calgary, Alberta. Her daughter Olivia is 5. And Valerie Wakinog from London, Ontario. She's not a board member, but she looks after her administration, and she was instrumental in pulling this conference together. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the conference. We hope you attend all of the sessions in the next 2 days, and you find them both relevant and informative. Thank you.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Good morning and welcome. My name is Natalie Ladley, and I'm Sangeeta's co-chair for this conference and your host for today. As Sangeeta mentioned, we have a wonderful lineup of doctors and specialists from our CDD community who have agreed to speak over the course of the next 2 days. We hope that everyone tuning in is able to learn something new or take something away that will improve the quality of life for your child living with CDKL5 or for your family as a whole. I also want to wish everyone a happy CDKL5 Awareness Day. There's been so many posts on social media this June, you would never know from my feed that CDKL5 is a rare disorder. So many great stories shared, amazing fundraisers, and of course, lots of lime green. If you've not already seen it, the agenda for this conference can be found by visiting our website at cdkl5canada.ca and on our socials. After each presentation, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. Simply type your question into the Q&A icon on your Zoom screen. If you have a general question about the conference, or if you're not able to access the Q&A, please feel free to use the chat. In the interest of keeping our day on time, any questions that we aren't able to answer during the conference will be answered by the speaker following their presentation. As Sangeeta touched on, the theme for this conference is Families United. It was important to us since we are once again tuning in remotely. We had hoped that we could bring everyone together this year. However, Toronto had one of the longest lockdowns in all of North America. On March 15th of this year, our indoor capacity limits were only increased to 50, and everyone was required to show proof of vaccination. So in an effort to be as inclusive as possible, hosting virtually was the only path forward. Families United really focuses on our hope to bring the international community together, but we also want to acknowledge the impact that this diagnosis has on family members who have a loved one living with CDD.